Mike Huckabee is continuing to do a church and media tour since, of course, he wants to run for president again. And he made some hilarious comments about gun reform.
The culture that we live here, and that frankly let's live not only over the South, but over the Midwest, and in most of what we call flyover country, is dramatically different than the culture that's lived in the bubbles of New York, Washington, D.C., and Hollywood. And yet they have so much influence. And we tend to think that maybe they are the norm. They think, by the way, we're crazy. I'll never forget sitting around with my own staff at Fox News, New Yorkers all, and something came up about guns, and they were saying about how nobody should ever own an AR-15. Well, there's just no reason to own an assault weapon. And I said, every weapon is an assault weapon. A pencil is an assault weapon if you poke it in someone's eye. And then I really shocked them when I said, AR-15s, I got several of them. They were scared to death. I thought they were going to dive under the table.
Yeah, I'm sure that your staff was scared of you. And by the way, I'm sure that your staff is anti-gun. Mike Huckabee's staff at Fox News. Mike Huckabee's staff. The people who produced his content. They are anti-gun? I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a split second, for 0.01 seconds. 0.00001 seconds. So, first of all, that story is totally made up. But here's a question. Hey, Mike, how does this owning and using weapons thing jive with that whole Jesus-y thing that you do every single day? There's not a politician in the United States of America that thumps the Bible and talks about Jesus more than Mike Huckabee. So, is Jesus in favor of weaponry? I do believe, and maybe I'm mistaken, but Jesus was a pacifist. I mean, Jesus spoke about turning the other cheek, as I've described on the show before. Turning the other cheek doesn't just mean, hey, if somebody's threatening you, you turn the other cheek and walk away. That's what a lot of people think it means. No, turn the other cheek means if you hit me on one side, I will turn the other cheek and present the other side and say, hit this one too. So that's true pacifism. That's 100% pacifism. That means no matter what you do to me, I'm not going to fight back because it's the virtuous, it's the moral thing to do. So how are you embracing that at all, Mike, if you want to get weaponry? That's the exact opposite message of the person who you think is God. Why do you hate God and what he commands, Mike Huckabee? This is a serious question I'm asking you. No, but see, to somebody like Mike Huckabee, these kinds of logical points are irrelevant because he doesn't care about logic. He lives as a hypocrite and he embraces his hypocrisy on a daily basis. By the same token, this is one of the guys who supported the war on terror. So he supported Guantanamo Bay. So again, you want to talk about how you love Jesus and you love Christianity, but you're watching as the CIA does anal rape and anal feeding and hypothermia torture and sleep deprivation and all kinds of torture. I mean, we saw what happened at Abu Ghraib with all the pictures insane barbarity. And you, Mr. Jesus lover, mum's the word. I'm in favor of it. That's why I'm in favor of that. And to the pencil point, beyond absurd. So, pencils are just as dangerous as guns. Really? Is a pencil just as dangerous as a grenade launcher also? Let's stretch this. How dangerous is a pencil? If it's as dangerous as a gun, is it as dangerous as RPGs? Is it as dangerous as a tank? Is it as dangerous as anthrax? Is it as dangerous as chemical weapons and biological weapons? Is it as dangerous as a nuke? Look, you're the one that made the point. What do you mean? Everything is an assault weapon. Everything is an assault weapon. A pencil is just as much as an AR-15. Really? So there's no difference in degrees, right? So a pencil is just as dangerous as an AR-15, so is a pencil as dangerous as a nuclear weapon? This is my question for you, Mike Huckabee. I won't expect a response. Because what are you denying in this whole conversation? What are you sidestepping? And by the way, I don't think you're doing it because you're a bad person and you know the answer, but you don't want to discuss it. I think you're not bringing it up because you're not bright and you haven't thought about it. One word. Statistics. Show me the statistics on pencil deaths in America per year. I'm curious. Let me see it. How many pencil accidents are there? Somebody tripped and fell and they were holding a pencil and it impaled them and they're dead. How many times does that happen a year? Once? Twice? If that? Somebody gets stabbed with a pencil and, somebody has a moment where they're enraged and they're a crazy person and they go stab somebody. How often does that happen per year? 3 times? I don't know. I'm asking you. But you know what? I know the statistics for the other one, for guns. You know how many that is? How many people die because of guns in the United States of America every single year when you include everything? So you include accidents, suicides, homicides, you name it, everything. Deaths from guns in America. Per year, 32,000 people. So are you really going to say pencils are as dangerous as AR-15s? When one has 32,000 deaths, the other one has like 4. Are you really going to say that? Because if you say that, you're a math denier. You don't believe in math. You don't believe in facts. And by the way, for people who, poo-poo the idea of gun reform as some crazy liberal idea, you know how many people died in Iraq? There were articles about this the other day making big stinks about it. Oh, ISIS is terrible. They're such a problem. And look at the death count in Iraq. You know how many people died in Iraq for a year's time span, which is why everybody's going crazy? 10,000. 10,000 people died in Iraq. There were articles about how this is insane, this is barbarism, this is savagery. 32,000 people die in America. Crickets. 32,000 die because we don't do gun reform. Now, in conclusion here, let me be very straightforward about this. Does this mean that I'm not in favor of people owning guns? Actually, it doesn't. And I think there are a lot of listeners to my show who are more progressive than me on this issue. I actually believe that as long as, you're a law-abiding citizen and there's nothing in your past that points to the conclusion that you might do something crazy, of course, I don't want to take away your right to own that weapon. Go right ahead, no problem. All I'm asking for, all most of us are asking for, is common sense. So, you have to do a universal background check, no exceptions. And you have to get guns out of the hands of people who are psychotic, people who are paranoid schizophrenics, people who have bad former felonies. And the list goes on of all the different things where you say, red flag, we're not going to do this here. There's a problem here. So, that's what we want. We want a universal background check. I want a ban on high-capacity magazines. I don't think it's infringing on your liberty if you can only shoot 5 bullets from a clip as opposed to 20 or whatever the fuck it is. So give me that, and then maybe in some states we have a conversation about banning assault weapons. But you're talking to a guy who's a moderate on the issue of gun rights. But in this insane climate with ridiculous Republicans on this issue, I look like some sort of communist uber pinko. And I'm not. They're the crazy people. We're not. Did I just use the term uber pinko? That doesn't even mean anything.